let's discuss posture now. How do you actually stand? If you were to look into a mirror, for example, majority of us will draw in our abdomen. It helps us appear taller and thinner. In addition, we tend to draw our shoulders back. But is that how you stand naturally? If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, what mark would you give yourself for posture? Due to our sedentary lives, the majority of us are slightly slouched or round-shouldered to whatever degree. There's a way to tell by looking at somebody's hand placement how round-shouldered they are. If you're nice and open in the chest and shoulders with good posture, the arms actually lie down at the sides of the body. So looking sideways on, you'll see my hands lie underneath my shoulders and the palms tend to face the thighs. So from the front, my hands look like this. But if I'm round-shouldered or slightly hunching or slouching, what happens is the shoulders fall forward and the arms come forward of the thighs with the palms facing the back of the room. In addition, I sit on my own organs, crushing them. That's not the only way to tell. You can look at the gap between somebody's arms. It's just one of the few indicators as to how open somebody is in the chest and shoulders. Let's consider what you do for a living. Does it involve a lot of driving, sitting at a desk, or working with a computer? Maybe all three. Let's consider the effects of sitting with poor posture. For example, if you're sitting driving, a typical posture will be to reach forward for the steering wheel in a slightly slouched position. Similarly, if you're sitting at a desk, unless you're aware of how to sit with good posture, we tend to lean forward, hunched over our work. Computer's one of the worst, because whilst we're tapping away at the keyboard, we tend to be hyperextending our necks to look at the screen, which results in crushing the vertebra at the back of the neck and a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. So what does that effect have on our mid-back muscles in the long term? Well, let's take this band, for example, and have a look at the effects of poor posture, because it may take months, years even, to be slouched, but it's not going to get corrected overnight. So let's wrap this band around my mid-back. Imagine it's the mid-back muscles. If I'm standing upright with good posture, the muscles will be at their normal length. But if I then start to slouch, you can see what's happening to those muscles. They're being pulled and stretched forwards. It's good to stretch as long as we return our muscles to their original length. But if we don't, if we're constantly standing, sitting, working and walking in this slightly slouched position, what's going to happen to those muscles over a long period of time? They're actually going to overstretch and lose their ability to contract. So we have a situation where we've got a loss of strength in the mid-back muscles. Conversely, at the front, the chest and shoulder muscles tend to tighten, shorten, and contract. So how do we address that? It's all well and good to say, pull your shoulders back. But how long are you actually going to last? 10 minutes? 20 if you're lucky, before the mid-back muscles are so tired, they're going to want to fall forward again. This is where Pilates comes into its own. It's really about rebalancing the body, front and back, left and right, weak and strong, to bring the body back into alignment so that it can work more harmoniously and efficiently with minimal effort. So Pilates will give you the awareness to stand taller and appear thinner, whilst at the same time building the strength and endurance in those muscles that will support healthy posture. A comment often made to me by my clients over the years is that when they've bumped into some friend that they haven't seen for a while, the friend often comments that they look different. There's something different about you. You look thinner, you look like you've lost weight. They haven't really lost any weight. All that's happened is they've started to pull themselves in and walk taller with better posture. And that's really just the effect from doing Pilates. What follows now is a series of exercises that will help to open the chest with the pole raises and the doorway stretch, and strengthen the mid-back muscles with the dart and the diamond press. And when you've been doing these exercises for a while, it will give you the strength and the awareness to have much better posture. Just having a look at the upper trapezius here. So remember, the trapezius is going in a big diamond shape out to each shoulder and down here. This is the very tense part, the upper trapezius, which can tend to be overworked, you know, if you're sitting hunched slightly. So you want to keep this nice and relaxed. We talk about a nice long swan neck, so the gap between the ear and the shoulder remains long. Now you can actually just get your forefinger and prod the upper trapezius. And just, if your finger actually sinks in, that means the muscle is nice and relaxed. If you imagine a piece of raw steak and you were to push your finger in the center of the steak, it should sink in. And that's how a muscle should feel if it's relaxed. However, if a muscle is particularly tense, then it may feel like overcooked steak and resistant or hard to the touch. So you should get almost like a spongy quality like this. Your finger should actually sink in if the muscle is nice and relaxed. You can also have a look to see if there's a change in height between right and left side. Normally there's a difference of about 10% between the right and left side of the body, just according to how we use our bodies. But you can have a look to see if one side is higher than the other. Usually the tighter side, but not always, will be the higher side. So we want to learn now how to actually lift our arm without actually creating any more tension in this upper trapezius. It's a very tense part of the body and it can be overworked very easily. So we want to learn how to lift the arm without hiking the shoulder up to the ears, using our mid-back muscles, in particular our lower trapezius. So normally what happens when you lift the arm up is that you may get a little bit of hiking of the shoulder up to the ear, and you can see here the upper trapezius is starting to contract and slightly bunch up. It's higher than the opposite side. So we want to learn to relax and draw the shoulder down and away from the ear so that you get this nice long swan neck and the upper trapezius doesn't overwork. So let's do the correct version now. Without actually pulling and depressing the shoulder, because that's just as bad and creates just as much tension as hiking up, almost feel the arm stretching out the fingertips. Just slightly draw the shoulder down without jamming it down or forcing it. And then I'm going to put my hand here just to encourage the shoulder to stay away from the ear. Andrew's going to lift his arm out to the side and slightly in front, so it's within his peripheral vision. And as he lifts up further, he's got to use these mid-back muscles, lower trapezius in particular, to slide the shoulder blade down in the back so we don't get this characteristic hiking up. And the upper trapezius remains nice and spongy as it was before. Again, breathing in, lengthening up, engaging the core abdominals, and as you breathe out, slide the shoulder blade down into the back, keeping the upper trapezius free from tension. So part of that movement will just be gravity, relaxing the shoulder away from the ear. And the rest of it is actually using those mid-back muscles to draw the scapula down into the back.